Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and I'm absolutely honored to have a longtime colleague that's sitting across from us here on our Spotlight on the Community Show. She still has that sparkle in her eye and the zest for life, and she's just a very, very cool cat, and I'm honored to have Dr. Emily Schell, the Executive Director of the California Global Education. So good to see you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. What a wonderful introduction, and it's just great to reconnect after all these years.
And my goodness, we worked together at San Diego Unified School District. We won't say how many years ago. Emily doesn't age, but it was a lot of fun. And Emily was working in the humanities department and doing what she does best, being a leader in geography and history and environment and everything in between. And honored to have with me as a guest co-host. She's done a marvelous job for her first couple of interviews here, and she hasn't left yet, so I think she's still enjoying this. And that is Erin Tanner, a community advocate that does wonderful things in our region. And I really can't thank you enough for being a co-host.
Oh, I'm having a great time. Thank you.
I hope you are doing this. I'm going to start with you. Emily, what is the mission of the California Global Education Project?
Well, thank you. Our work is predominantly working with transitional kindergarten through 12th grade educators. And we're part of a larger network throughout the state of California called the California Subject Matter Project. And so we work, our network, the California Global Education Project, is one of 9 discipline-specific networks that supports teachers through professional learning so that they can be their best and bring the best out of all of our students across the state of California.
All right. So is there, is there a mathematics one? Is there a language arts? Is there cyber science and everything in between?
Cyber science. Yes, there's the Writing Project, which is actually a national organization. But there's the Reading and Literature Project based at UC San Diego, and we've got the Math Project at UCLA, the Arts Project at CSU San Bernardino, World Language Project, Science Project, of course, History Social Science Project, Physical Education and Health Project as well. So there's 9 of us across the state. The Global Education Project is unique in that we're the only project of those 9 disciplines that does not have a state-adopted framework, set of standards, assessment, instructional materials, adoption process. So our project works with teachers in all of those disciplines across all of those grade levels in all corners of the state to present more interdisciplinary learning for students and to bring global issues and global competence into their mathematics, their English language arts, their science, whatever it might be.
Yeah, so talk real briefly about your connection with USD.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, long ago, I was a student. I like to think that I grew up at USD. My mother is from China, and she came as an international student to USD in 1957 when it was a college for women. She was the first Chinese student at the on the campus. And so as we grew up mostly in San Diego, we would spend our summers, our weekends at USD, at the pool, at the library, at other events on campus. And so when it came time for college, it was kind of a no-brainer. My sister was already at USD ahead of me, and so I spent my 4 years of undergraduate work there, earned my teaching credential, and then many years later went back for my doctorate in 1995. And
that's when you got. It's been that long?
It's been that long.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I'm really dating myself now.
And so that's where I learned. That's where I developed, I think, so much of who I am, especially as an educator. And I spent 20 years teaching over at San Diego State University with the pre-service program and with this project. And during the pandemic, it just seemed time to move the project from San Diego State to the University of San Diego. And it was a difficult transition because we couldn't get out of one office or into the other office. And it was complicated, but we're so happy to be at the University of San Diego now for the statewide office for the California Global Education Project, as well as a regional center to serve the teachers of San Diego and Imperial counties.
No, that's great. Erin?
Yeah, so you have so how does global education and the curiosity and the exploration, how do those merge together? And what did you... Yeah. I mean, that was something that you had mentioned you wanted to speak about. Tell me more.
Sure. Well, I think there's still a lot of curiosity about what global education is. It's not necessarily a course that you take like an algebra class or a freshman English class. But global education is something that I think we all have every day of our lives as we reflect on who we are and how we intersect with our various communities. And we learn through different languages and about different cultures and basically how the world works. And we all confront these global issues in our daily lives, whether it's economic sustainability or it's climate change or it's, there's just so many pathways for when it comes to global issues. So what we like to tap into when we talk about global education, especially across the grade levels and across the disciplines, is supporting teachers and who will then support their students to maintain this sense of curiosity and wonder about the world, about their local community, about their family, about their identity, about what they want to do with their lives, and then to help them develop the disposition as well as the skills and the tools, know what those tools are to be explorers and to explore other ways of living and of thinking and of solving problems.
It's interesting you bring up curiosity because you met Charles Parisi, my business partner for Cloudcast, and when we have folks here, we don't do the internships, we do curiosity ships. That's his word for it. His whole deal is being involved with curiosity, and you hit the nail on the head here. I'd be very interested to see this because we need to ask questions and continue to ask questions. And as you and I were chatting before, and I knew this about you because I've known you for quite a while, that you would like to ask questions like a good journalist would be, and you were looking down that path. I did take that path, as you well know, in that area. Talk a little bit about, here you are, started as a teacher years ago, and there was no social media, okay, especially as you're teaching global education back in the day, whatever it was called. How has social media impacted what you work with the teachers on when you teach global education, or has it?
Oh, how much time do we have?
Oh, we got 3 hours. No one told you?
Oh, it's fascinating. The first thing that comes to mind is we work with a partner called Generation Global to help teachers bring virtual exchange into their classroom. And so we had one of our teacher leaders, Dana Weber, when she just became an assistant principal at Claremont, but when she was the English teacher at Kearney High School, she set up a virtual exchange to talk about exactly that topic. And so to sit with these ninth graders who were communicating with their peers in Jakarta about social media and to listen to their perspectives, and they're digital natives and it's their way of living. And I was fascinated, and it reminded me of why we need to listen to other perspectives and not just rest on back in my day, this is the way we did things. So there has been an incredible impact in the work in schools, because one of the things we've tried to help teachers do is to recognize that this is that main form of communication, whether it's receiving information or communicating with others.
Right.
And that to say, put away your phones, put away your, just disconnect and sit in my classroom. Sometimes there's a real purpose for that, but in most cases there's not. Especially with global education, we want to connect those students with other perspectives, other voices, other experiences. And so that's being done really effectively in a lot of schools, a lot of classrooms. I have to put myself in check a lot of times to not become this is the way we do things, but to pay attention to what's happening in the world and how communication and influencing happens differently, and to pay close attention to that. But if our goal is to help students not just understand who they are and where they are, but how they're interconnected with so many others and globally, the pandemic made that perfectly clear. There's no place to hide on this planet when it came to to the COVID pandemic. We need to acknowledge the impact of social media and the benefits of social media in sharing. I mean, we could go to our social media feed right now to find out what's happening in France with, the change in retirement age, or to see what's happening with flooding in Syria, and and that's also part of the problem, which is this overflowing, information source that now we need to help our students understand. First of all, to evaluate the information sources, but also to analyze and to corroborate evidence, and to really develop these skills that are important for this 21st century, highly connected through technologies and social media world that we live in.
Well, without question, we're chatting with Dr. Emily Schell, Executive Director of the California Global Education Project. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlossberg's Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing wonderful things for San Diego for 60 years, joined by my colleague and guest co-host Aaron Tanner, longtime community advocate. When we come back from a break, Emily, I know Aaron wants to ask you questions about empathy, kindness, and compassion, one of our favorite topics here on the show as well. I want to go back to something you said is corroborating evidence. Being a former journalist, this is so critical. We're talking a lot about it in the media field. And of course, and then really look at, I'm not sure if I told you this, my daughter is now in education. She teaches at Chaparral Elementary School in a 4 or 5 combo. I know it's your big smile on your face. Somebody did well in our family, so all good on that. But where is this going for teachers? And we know they've been under siege, as has principals and administrators as well, and would love to get your feedback on that when we return. Chatting again with Dr. Emily Schell, Executive Director of the California Global Education Project. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you're listening to Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, doing wonderful things for San Diegans. For 60 years, I am with my longtime colleague, friend, cohort, and so forth, and all that business, Dr. Emily Schell, Executive Director of the California Global Education Project, joined by my terrific guest co-host, Aaron Tanner, a longtime community advocate. Aaron, I know you have a question for Emily.
Yeah, so listening and learning about what you guys do is something that just keeps coming to mind is you build bridges for like thoughts and cross borders and between teachers and students and vice versa, all that. You have 3 beautiful values: empathy, kindness, and compassion. How do those play out?
Well, thank you for asking that, because I think those are some of the values that shine through when we get to work with teachers for a long period of time. And those are some of the outcomes that they share with us when they implement some of the programs or ways of approaching their curriculum that we work with them, whether it's about understanding what's going on with the environment or looking at human rights or gender equality. And I just think, wow. And I will say what I hear oftentimes from teachers, and we just had a big statewide forum last Saturday, and we heard this from teachers, which is, I come here, I listen, I learn, I think, I feel, and I leave better committed to that kind of teaching and learning that is about kindness and empathy and compassion. And they talk about how easy it is to get dragged down and to be just so overwhelmed. But these are important values for global citizenship. If we cannot empathize, we cannot broaden our awareness, our understanding, our perspective taking. And then the compassion piece of it is that extension of empathy and when we look at what global competence is, one of the 4 domains is taking action. And that's what teachers over the years have asked us for the most support around. And the compassion is the acting on what you know, what you feel, what you believe is right. So it does tap into your own personal value system. And so those are key components. When we ask students to kind of brainstorm, whether it's through design thinking or project-based learning, like what can you do to contribute to a better world? Some students we've seen have come up with kindness campaigns. You know what? I'm going to smile more and see if that really impacts the environment, my classroom or my second period or my friend group. Or I'm going to drop these little notes into backpacks or pockets or leave them behind for teachers because they seem really stressed right now. And so just little acts of kindness are what global citizens do, and that is the development of global competence. And if we're not making space for that in our school day, in our lives, then I don't know where we're going.
Well, we're not going in a positive trajectory, and I cannot agree with you more because we all know this. Those who drive and somebody lets you in and you wave and they wave back, man, you feel good. Yep. You know, it's what did that take? A nanosecond? And just imagine if the day was filled with people doing that. You know, yep. Just one day. Are you kidding me? And so what you're doing is just absolutely spot on. We know it works. I'm sure there's a million studies that show it does work. It helps you for your everything that you've got going on in your body and that aspect of it. I think that's just absolutely spectacular. You brought up something that raised my eyebrows in a very positive way that is so critical. And you and I have talked about this before, probably when we were working together. Even though we worked together so long ago, there wasn't a lot of social media going on. Give some hint to people about how long ago we worked. But as having, evidence that can be corroborated, real evidence. And to me, I think probably one of the greatest skill that teachers can do, and I know you agree with this, is teach those students to not take everything for face value. Just because it was on the internet doesn't make it true. We've been saying this for many years. But how do you find out to vet it? And talk about how important that is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, someone who started in the journalism world and seeing these changes. So when I was at Northwestern working on my master's in journalism, people were saying, why are you doing, this is 1986, why are you doing this? Don't you know magazines and newspapers are going away? And I didn't really understand what that meant, although I believed it would never happen. It's happened in certain ways and there's been shifts. And what I see with social media is this kind of democratization of journalism where I'm sitting on my neighborhood corner and I observe something happening and I can report it out right away as a first-person account. How do you corroborate that? Well, there's you look for other people who had that same experience or is connected to the police report or whatever it might be. And it means more citizens are becoming engaged and part of that news cycle. And yet the downside of that is, like you said, in this introduction of fake news, which back in 1986 during the Iran-Contra ordeal, they were talking about misinformation.
That's right.
And so, we've had false narratives for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm so passionate about the importance of history, social science, and really learning how to source information and corroborate information. And fortunately today there are more ways to do that as opposed to those official, court documents or police reports, and that people really are more engaged and important to that process of understanding and taking action on issues. Look at the George Floyd incident.
Right.
Without bystanders taking, capturing video on their cell phones. I don't know that we would be where we are today with that as one example of a huge systemic issue that relates to the history of this country.
Well, there's no question about that. We're chatting with Dr. Emily Schell, Executive Director of the California Global Education Project. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, joined by my co-host, and that is Erin Tanner, community advocate. I definitely want to have you come back on the show. I mean, there's so many topics I want to talk to you about. As well, because you're such an influencer, one, because of who you are, but who you are with working with those teachers and knowing what's going on. I've got 75 other topics to talk about. But Erin and I want to know what our listeners can do to support the project. Can they donate to what's the best way to get the word out on what you're doing?
Oh, my favorite question.
Okay.
I love all the questions, but to me, it's mind-boggling to be a California citizen and recognize that we are, the fifth largest economy in the world.
That's right.
We've got multiple languages. I was the principal at Rosa Parks, and I had 42 languages spoken at one elementary school in San Diego. And that we don't value global education the way we absolutely should. It's not about preparing our students for the world. The world has come into California, and it rushed in. I mean, you look at the 1700s, the diversity of California Native American groups, the diversity existed before settlement and statehood. And so to not value that, to not capitalize on that, to not really support global education in our schools, to me is like I said, mind-boggling. It's frustrating. And also what I think we can all do is support global education in different ways, through school boards, through legislation. We're happy to be one of the state-funded projects to support teachers in this work. And what we hear from teachers is, this is why I came into teaching. This is what I want to do with my life. But my principal's saying, or the district is saying, I've got to, veer in this direction and focus more on standards-based tests and the dashboard and things like that.
Right.
And we're trying to build evidence that it's through the development of global competence that students will be more successful in literacy and mathematics and civic engagement and all those things.
Yeah, this is why I want Emily to run the world. Emily knows this because when I met Emily, I was a curriculum developer for San Diego Unified, focusing on teaching critical reading competencies through using the media, newspapers, among other things, and then went to the UT to do that aspect of it. She knows I'm not a big fan of standardized tests. There's a place for it, but not the place for it. Unfortunately, that is crumbling, which I'm glad to see. It only happened 150 years too late, but let's get better late than never. Because what Erin, what Emily is talking about is spot on. These are the things that are going to make you successful when you leave that 12th grade classroom where you're not going to have a textbook and no one could care less what you did on this SAT score or this GMAT or whatever, or my goodness, we studied what, is critical. We can't talk about this enough. That's why you're going to come back on every single day for the rest of your life on this. And in all seriousness, is there a number they can get a hold of you? There's an email if they're interested in supporting. What can they do?
Sure. Yeah, our website is calglobaled.org.
Right.
And we are based at the University of San Diego in the School of Leadership and Education Sciences and the Jacobs Institute for Innovation in Education.
Right.
So, please get a hold of me. I think if you can share my email.
Please.
With the
or you can
notes.
tell right now.
Okay, it's eschell, ESCHELL, at sandiego.edu.
Right. And it all starts at the home. And so I really encourage the parents, get engaged in what's going on in your kid's school. Listen, we all know that everyone is working at full throttle and so forth, but there's nothing more important than this, in my humble opinion. Emily, it's great seeing you. Count on you coming back in, hopefully sooner than later, to touch on the 45 other topics we have. But this is just so important, though. And I know you know that. Erin, any comments? You're the mom of two young daughters?
Yeah, I think something that stood out to me was, I think it's Dr. Maya Angelou. She says we belong everywhere and nowhere. And that being when we take personal responsibility for what do I know about the rest of the world, not just where I'm at, and how do I connect with others, and what can I do better together. So, yeah, thank you for all the work that you're doing and all that you give.
I think you just found another volunteer. My job here is to see if I can make Erin volunteer for everything, and then has no time for anything else but that. In all seriousness, I think that stuff's important. Any final comments, Emily?
Yeah, and thank you again for inviting me here and for helping me to spread the word about what is happening in schools and what we need to support in schools, because there is so much kind of questioning and backlash. But, as a parent of children and having a daughter as a new teacher,
right.
This is so important. And I think when we, as parents, and, we step back and we think, what do we want in our child's education that complements what our hopes and dreams and goals are for our child at home, our children at home. This is a good connector. It is a good bridge builder, and we have programs that speak to that where students are bringing home global book bags and having those conversations with their families, and and that's the way we are going to build a better world.
No, there's no question about it. So, Emily, great seeing you. We look forward to having you back on sooner than later to talk more about this very important work you're doing. Dr. Emily Schell, Executive Director of the California Global Education Project at USD School of Leadership and Ed Sciences. I'm Drew Schlosberg, as you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show on Cloudcast Media, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, and a big shout out to my guest co-host, Erin Tanner. We hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.